What's going on, everybody? My name is Derailious. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over all future updates in Hypixel Skyblock, from things coming soon to things very far away. As well, we're going to be discussing what the community as well as myself would like to see in future updates, and generally discussing the future of the game as a whole. Before we get into this, I want to say thank you guys for all the support recently. We're about to hit 14,000 subs, and if you are not currently subbed, please do hit that button down below as well as the bell icon so you can get updated on future content. On that note though, let's get right into the video. The first update we have to discuss, and the one that's probably been the most hyped up over the last few months, is Zombie Slayer Tier 5 and the update to the Bartender's Brewery. Essentially, the Bartender's Brewery is going to be receiving a complete revamp, with the bartender selling new items, and Maddox offering a new level of Slayer. I think that this update is going to be the one coming soonest for quite obvious reasons. It's been worked on for a while. Doctor has said on multiple occasions that he has been hard at work on it, and honestly I can see it coming within the next 2 weeks. I think this update is going to be really fun and enjoyable for the game. It's definitely going to bring back that love of Slayers that a lot of the community has had, and honestly has waned in the last few months because there just hasn't been much Slayer content to actually do. Slayers have always been a part of the game that I haven't really touched that much, and I'm really excited to say that I will be actually grinding when it comes out, probably even doing some streams on it. On top of this, something that I hope, and may not actually happen, but something that I hope does happen, is a complete revamp to alchemy as a whole. It'd be really cool to see something like God Pots getting revamped and changed around, maybe not made more expensive because let's be real, they don't need to be, but maybe you could, go to the bartender, buy some items, and upgrade your God Pots by adding special abilities and elixirs to them. Maybe, say, you could focus on a certain skill or aspect and make it way stronger. Perhaps if you want Magic Find, you can get the focus for Magic Find, doubling the amount of Magic Find that the God Pot will give you. If you want Strength, you could just get the Strength focus, and so on and so forth. These would get stronger as your alchemy level goes up, and would offer you a large amount of alchemy points to level up when you get them. I think this would be a great change overall to the alchemy system. Not many people want to touch alchemy at the minute because why make a speed 7 potion if you're just going to get a God Pot from the store? And that's a fair point. Why would you ever want to do that? The only reason I ever see anyone doing anything alchemy related anymore is to level it up to 50 just because they want to flex the skill, which kind of makes the skill inherently worthless, doesn't it? At the end of the day though, regardless of whether we get an update to alchemy, this update looks to be a pretty large and substantial one, and is the next major piece of content that we're going to receive. Second up on our list, and an update that I think is going over a lot of people's heads, is going to be the Dwarven Caves update, or the Dwarven Mines Part 2. This update is going to be relatively large in size. I would argue that it's probably going to be larger than the original Dwarven Mines update, and is going to involve a lot of aspects of the game being remade. Essentially, the Dwarven Mines is going to be receiving new quests, new abilities, new events, new achievements, and an entirely separate area that has only been referred to as the Dwarven Caves. I think this is the most important aspect of this, as I believe the Dwarven Caves is going to be one of the hardest areas in Hypixel Skyblock, and is very likely going to require Floor 6 and Floor 7 gear in order to conquer. As well as this, I believe that the giant ice door will be opened up, and a frost giant boss will be behind it. We haven't received a new legitimate world boss since we got the Headless Horseman, and I would argue the Headless Horseman barely counts. The Headless Horseman is a minor boss at best, and is summoned by just, getting some items and then dumping them in the graveyard, and he gets beaten in 3 seconds. Another major boss that I think compares is probably dragons, and it's not too unlikely to say that there's going to be a similar level of ability and a similar level of loot that we are going to get with this update than we got to dragons. Essentially, it's not unreasonable to believe that the new Frost Giant World Boss, or whatever it ends up being, will provide loot that is as strong, if not stronger, than anything we have currently, which is really exciting and will finally push the skill ceiling a little higher for players who aren't necessarily into doing Catacombs. Next up, and probably the last update that we have any concrete information on, we are going to be discussing Catacombs Hard Mode or Master Mode, and the next iteration of Catacombs, which is likely going to be coming within a few months of each other. I can only see this update coming a few months down the line at the very least, probably closer to 6 to 10 months as a whole. I may even see the next Catacombs, or the next iteration of it, coming in 2022, which is kind of sad, because essentially I think that the admins are focusing more so on the mining updates and trying to make that as good as possible. Catacombs Hard Mode, or Master Mode, is going to be a complete revamp of the first 7 floors, and reimagining them to be way harder. This is likely also going to coincide with a solo mode, although I don't necessarily believe that a solo mode is what they're interested in doing right now, and is likely going to be scrapped. Basically, the master mode, though, is going to require a lot more skill and a lot more ability in order to do than the base 7 floors. It's going to reward a lot more as well in terms of loot, which is likely going to be upgraded variants of the original loot, and on top of that, giving you a ton more Catacombs XP, allowing people to finally get Catacombs 50 without actually struggling too hard. I believe that Catacombs 50 is going to be basically the starting point for players entering the next dungeon, but you also have to understand that it's very likely that we're not going to be able to carry over those stats into the next dungeon. Basically, the Catacombs, as you can see here in Dungeoneering, is only one of 3 dungeons coming out. And that means that when we enter, say, another dungeon, we are not going to have the, say, 177% bonus that we would have in the Catacombs, meaning that our armor would be far weaker. This is a good thing overall. It allows people to grind out the game without struggling too hard, and also allows people to get into the second dungeon without worrying about being high level in the first. However, I think that generally people are going to be pretty upset about losing all this progress when new dungeon floors come out. Other than that though, it doesn't really look like we're going to be seeing too much dungeon content for the near future. Aside from this, which is likely going to come out in about a year's time, I don't really see any other updates coming to dungeons in the nearer future. Now we move on to the speculative portion of this video, which will mostly be covering updates that a lot of members of the community would love to see. One of the most important of which, I believe, is the revamping of a lot of the skills, notably foraging. Aside from that though, there are also some other skills which may need it, alchemy and combat being the other two. Now that we've received updates for mining and also farming and then also enchanting, it's getting to the point where a lot of the other skills, notably things like foraging, are starting to seem really dated by comparison. Essentially, chopping down a tree isn't really hitting like it used to, and by extension, killing a mob to level up isn't really hitting like it used to either. Overall though, I can't really say for sure how these updates are going to happen, or if they are even going to happen. It'd be great to have another thing to foraging, another way to, level it up, perhaps, scouring for berries of some sort, or killing some special types of mobs which can drop special items. Although, at the end of the day, this is really up to the admins to decide how they want to do it. I think a lot of people really want to see an updated variant of foraging. As well with combat, it'd be really cool to see something like a Heart of the Mountain. Basically, the mining Heart of the Mountain is one of the greatest things added to the game, and although I'm only Heart of the Mountain tier 3, I still have really enjoyed this a lot more than I've enjoyed, say, leveling up alchemy at the very least. I think that something like a Heart of the Mountain would work way better for combat than it does for mining, because combat you can level up everywhere. I think mining is really hampered by the Heart of the Mountain only being leveled up on the Dwarven Mines Island. Say, if we could level it up by going anywhere and doing anything, I think more people would be more inclined to just, generally level it up. I also think that XP should be a way that you're able to level up these items, although that's more of a me thing, and I think that that's not necessarily something that's going to happen. Aside from all these revamps to skills, another thing that I would really love to see is some more islands for farming and foraging respectively. We haven't really received anything like that for a very long time, and honestly, it's just cool to see new islands coming out at a greater pace, and hopefully we're able to see that as well. At the end of the day though, these updates are going to be coming out in tandem and in the future, so yeah. Overall, a lot of these updates aren't going to be coming out until a very long time from now, possibly months, possibly even years. It's crazy to me to think that we're not really going to be receiving that much content in the next near future. However, I also understand that a lot of other games on the Hypixel network haven't actually received any updates at all, and Skyblock is kind of getting the special treatment because of the player base, which is completely understandable. Overall though, I'm excited for the future of Skyblock and believe that the game will become a lot better in the next year, as well as the updates getting at a faster pace, because they've already talked about that when the Dwarven Mines came out. On that note though, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed. My name is Derailious, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.